Oh yes, welcome back to Lindy Banner everyone. Thanks a bunch for joining me in today's video. It's been a while since I made a video. I seem to always say that when I make a video, but it has been a while. The last one was when I drove some humanitarian aid over to Poland, so if you've not seen that video, then go and watch that one now. But today is the first real sort of introduction of this van, our new Sprinter van, onto YouTube. Well, I don't think we've done any other videos apart from that one of me driving to Poland to do with this van. We got this van last year in, I think, October, and since then I've been working hard to convert it into a camper, but also at the same time started a new job. So everything's been up and down, but finally this van is pretty much sorted now, and I wanted to make a series of videos about the conversion.
Welcome to Lindy Banner. We're Gabby and Sam, and this is our four-legged furry friend Daisy. Follow us on our adventures in our self-converted Sprinter van as we document our time on and off the road, travelling around the UK, Lithuania and the rest of Europe. Thanks for all of your support so far, and if you're joining us for the first time, don't forget to like the video, subscribe and turn on the notifications so you never miss a video.
Oh yes, thanks again for joining in today's video, guys. So if you're new around here, we tend to make videos about our travels and a bit about our conversions and stuff. Certainly in the past I've done some mountain biking videos and stuff, but the channel is now all about van life, completely all about van life. And we've got some pretty exciting challenges coming up. So the van itself is another medium wheelbase Sprinter, same as our old van. And initially when we sold the old one, it was with the intention of getting a long wheelbase, but I ummed and ahed, and I thought, you know what, I went with the same instinct that I had when we bought the first van, which is that medium wheelbase is much more easier to park, and certainly if you're travelling in cities and urban areas, that's super important. But with this van I wanted to achieve a bit more living space than we had in the old van, so we've made a couple of changes, like this sofa. We've got a table here right next to me, I'm not sure if you can see. And of course we've got full-size double bed in the back like we did in the last Sprinter. This one's got flares on the side, so the bed is widthways instead of lengthways, so that saved about, I don't know, about half a metre here, which meant that we were able to get this sofa in, get the fridge here and stuff. So but we'll do a van tour another time. This video is all about the gas system. So this video is going to be a bit of a talking head, and I'll chuck some B-roll in as well so you can see what's going on. But in the past, something I've always been really sort of insecure about, let's say, in our conversions is the gas system. And because we've never been sort of commercial, we've never built vans to sell, to make a profit or to rent out or anything, I've always done the best that I could. And my dad was a gas engineer before he retired and sort of always oversaw the work that I'd done, so I wasn't too worried about that. But now, since we want to live in the van full time for a little while, little sneaky peek into our future plans, so I wanted to make sure the gas system is 100% kosher, 100% safe. Plus, if we ever want to rent out the van and what have you, you need to get a gas safe certificate. So to get that, of course, the gas system has to be perfect. There's several points that are listed in the Eurocode regarding your gas system in a self-built camper van, and you need to satisfy all of these points in order to get it signed off and be able to rent out the van or use it commercially. Apart from that, there's no other legislation, so if you're building a van for yourself, then these rules don't necessarily apply, but I think it's still a great idea to follow them because, hey, it's all about safety at the end of the day. So in our van we have a 6 kilo Gasset refillable bottle. It's the cheapest way that we could get a refillable tank. I looked at underslung tanks and everything, and they're very much more expensive than gas bottles, and to be honest with you, they're not necessarily that much safer in my opinion. Just a couple of days ago I was on a Facebook group and I saw that somebody's underslung LPG tank had fallen off of the bottom of their van because the straps that were supplied with it rusted and just broke. So there's pros and cons to having an internal tank, having an external tank. One big pro of having an underslung tank is the fact that you've got no high pressure gas system inside the van at all, because it goes into the regulator, out of the regulator, under the van, and then into the van. So there's the only benefit that I can see of having the underslung tank. We've got this 6 kilo bottle, and it's housed in a gas locker just next to me here. And the reason it's housed in a gas locker is that a gas bottle, to the Eurocode, has to be housed in a sealed locker. Now, the locker doesn't have to be metal, it can be timber as long as it's sealed. And there's a few stipulations around the construction of the locker. It has to have a minimum of a 5 centimeter ledge or lip around the bottom of the door. The door has to be fully sealed, so you have to have some sort of, I don't know, draft excluder or foam sealing around the door. Inside the gas locker, it has to be totally sealed. That means where the pipes come in and out for the gas supply for the appliances, but there is one hole in the gas locker that has to be there in the floor of the gas locker. Now, the size of the hole is a ratio to the amount of gas that you'll be carrying in the locker, but since ours is only a 6 kilo tank and our hole is something like 6 centimeters in diameter, I know for sure that that hole is more than big enough for the tank. And it was, because we got it signed off. Another thing you need in the gas locker is 2 straps on the bottle to hold it in place securely. So from the gas bottle, we go up to the regulator, and our regulator is a 30 millibar regulator, and that goes off to the manifold, sending the low pressure gas to the different appliances. One other thing about the gas locker is that it cannot be accessed from the habitable space of the vehicle. And sometimes you'll see that the gas locker has a door on the side of the van. I mean, that's a big telltale sign that you've got a camper van. And because we like to be stealth, that wasn't even an option. So we access our gas locker from the garage area of the van because, of course, it's not the livable space. And I questioned the gas engineer who signed off our system about this because we've got a little hatch here to access the on and off. He said as long as you can't remove and replace the bottle from the livable space, then that's what it needs to be able to be certified. So the fact that we've got a little hatch here so that we can turn it on and off is fine as far as I'm aware. Again, it got signed off. But also I really wanted this so that we don't have all of our gas system pressurized all the time when we're not using it. To me, it's safer, personally, in my opinion. I think it's safer. But I have a hatch here that's also sealed with a foam ring around it and what have you. It's safer to be able to access the bottle to turn it off and turn it on again easily, rather than leaving it on in an unaccessible locker all of the time. That's just my opinion. The next thing that's important to be able to do your gas system to code is having all of your plumbing in copper. So by that I mean everything that comes from your regulator needs to be in copper pipe. Now, in the last van we had a bottle mounted regulator, which I do not recommend. I much more recommend, or would much prefer to recommend, or anyway, you should get a bulkhead mounted regulator, which is what we've got in this van now. And from the gas bottle to the regulator you need a braided hose. Now, in some cases it can be rubber, but I recommend a stainless steel braided pigtail, as it's called. And I was also told by my gas engineer that all of the connections, if you have any, between the manifold and the appliance have to be compression fitting connections. Now, I did ask another gas engineer before I found the guy that signed off my system about this very situation beforehand, and he told me conflicting information. He said all of the connections are much better off soldered connections if you can, but the other gas engineer that came and actually signed off my system said they have to be compression fittings. And luckily I double checked that with him before I did this install, because I thought compression fittings perhaps can allow for a bit more movement, whereas if there's any vibration then perhaps a soldered joint could crack and potentially have a little weeping leak. So I'm really glad that I double checked that with our main gas engineer. So the gas goes from the manifold to both appliances with copper pipe. In our van we've got a double hob and we've got an oven grill. And the oven grill, although we had one in our last van, this one's much better. This is the Thetford Duplex, and because of its size it doesn't tend to burn everything just on the top. It actually cooks things through, which is fantastic. And then we've got our 2-burner gas hob, which has been modified so it now has LPG jets in it, but unfortunately the ignition for this domestic hob is a 240 volt connection. Now I didn't want to run the inverter all the time just so I can light the hob, so we've got this little handy big old matchstick which produces a spark, and then I can just light the hob the old fashioned way. The good thing about the oven is that it's got a piezo ignition on it. I think it's piezo. Is that how you pronounce it? Piezo? Not sure. It's got an ignition on it so you don't have to crawl inside the oven with a lighter and ignite it, and that works brilliantly. And the very last thing that I'm going to say about this gas system is the fact that your appliances need to have like a cut-off on them. Now I don't know the exact terminology for it, but all I know is that if you turn off your gas supply and turn it back on again, and the taps on the hob or on the oven are turned on so gas comes through, the hob or the oven or any appliance has to have a self-regulating cut-off on it, and it has to be within a certain amount of time. I'm not going to say how many seconds, something like 5 seconds, and the hob recognizes if the gas hasn't been lit that it's letting out. Once it does that, it automatically turns itself off, and you can hear it very clearly in this clip that I'm about to play for you. So there we have it, everyone, a whistle-stop tour on how to correctly install your gas system, in my opinion. Please don't forget, this is my very own opinion. Do seek the advice of a Corgi or gas safe registered engineer before you go ahead and do your own build. But I do now have a gas safe certificate for this van, which is one of the legal stipulations for renting out your van, or indeed for making a business out of converting camper vans. One very last point that I forgot to mention when I was filming is the fact that you absolutely need a carbon monoxide detector in your van. Now I've also got a fire extinguisher, and you can also carry a fire blanket if you want, but you must have a carbon monoxide detector. Some of you may know, but I have just set up Sprinter Van Conversions, so please go and check out our website, sprintervan-conversions.co.uk. Go and check out the website, give us a like on Instagram, and all of the information or all of the posts on the Instagram feed will be very different from Lindy Vanner. Lindy Vanner is our own personal van life adventure through life, whereas Sprinter Van Conversions is all about the work that I'm doing, and I try and post daily on that, at least on the stories, so you guys can see what I'm up to. Thanks a lot for watching today's video, everybody. I hope it's been interesting. I hope it's been informative. Once again, please seek the advice of a gas safe registered engineer before you do any of your own gas work. Keep safe and keep living your best life. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.